Hello everyone, you are welcome to the GMAETS41's Basic Mathematics class. In our class today, I am going to teach you division of decimal numbers by whole numbers. I want to believe that by now, you no longer have problems much with division in terms of the secret you need to be able to handle any problem given to you, as long as you are told that that problem is a division problem. I'll be taking you further into learning how you can divide decimal numbers by whole numbers. Now, there is nothing much here, okay? There is nothing much. And that's why on the board you see there is no introductory notes to read. The only thing you need to know is when you are given a question, you notice that you are dividing a decimal number by a whole number. Simply go straight and start dividing the normal way. Start from the whole number part, then you move towards the decimal part. Now, we have these questions on the board, two of them we're going to solve, after which we look at question number 3 and 4. By the time we are done solving, in fact, the first question, you are good to go. So what do we have in question number 1? What is the value of 2.5 shared into 2? I hope you've not forgotten when you hear the word to share. It simply means divide, right? So this question, the value of 2.5 shared into 2 simply is telling us to divide 2.5 by 2 and of course find the value. I'll go straight on to solve that question number 1. Okay, solution. We have 2.5 and we are dividing this by 2. Starting with the whole number part. The whole number digit here or part is the 2 that we have in the numerator. And then the decimal digit part is this digit after this decimal point. So 5 is the decimal digit. So we're going to start by dividing from the whole number part. 2 divided by 2. You know, we are going to work with 2 times tables since our denominator is 2. And so going by this, I'm going to have 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 exactly, there is no remainder. Then I'm moving over to the decimal digit part. I would like to just put my decimal point here. Alright? So moving on to the decimal digit part, we have 5 divided by 2. 5 divided by 2 is 2 whole times. But not exactly, there is going to be a remainder. And what is the remainder? Of course, it's going to be remainder 1. From our previous classes, I've taught you all you need to know about remainder, and I believe you've actually played with the remainder theorem, like you've used it to solve some other questions. So using it shouldn't be a problem again. Now let us move on. We said that 5 divided by 2 will give us 2 remainder 1. Now that remainder 1 is our last remainder. It is our last remainder because we have divided all the digits given to us in the numerator. We've divided them, so there is nothing to attach the remainder 1 to anymore. Therefore, that is our last what? Remainder. I'm going to write it remainder 1. Remainder 1. Now, what do you do with this remainder? Take your mind back to our last class. Once you get a remainder, attach 0 to it and divide it by the denominator that you're using to divide. Alright? Now, we have our decimal point here already, so there is no need of putting decimal point here again. Or talking about writing in a mixed fraction. You don't need that. The question already has a decimal point. So all you need to do straight on, once you get your remainder, simply attach 0 to the right hand side of the remainder. Just like this. I'm using black sheet of marker to attach the 0. And then divide what you have there by the denominator. And of course our denominator is 2. Alright? So now we have 10 divided by 2 in the remainder side. And 10 divided by 2 from 2 times table will give you what? You are very correct. It's going to give us 5. So 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. Let me write a 5 here with black marker. I'm going to underline it just for you to take note that this is also part of our decimal digit answer. That's 5. Now if you do 10 divided by 2, you're going to get 5 whole times exactly. There is no remainder because 2 times 5 will give you 10. For that reason, what do you do to the denominator? That is correct. We have to divide the denominator by itself. 2 divided by 2 will give us 1. And you know that this 5 divided by 1 will still give you what? 5. And we are done. 2.5 divided by 2, the answer is going to be, let's go. Now we have 1.2. So we're going to write that 1.2. And then if we move on, the decimal digit also includes 5. So we have it 1.25. And this is the answer if you share 2.5 into 2. I want to tell you something about this decimal answer we got, 1.25. We call it a terminating decimal. Terminating decimal. What do we mean by terminating decimal? Although we'll still learn about types of decimal, you will hear terminating decimal, you hear recurring decimal. Is that okay? Now, terminating decimals are decimals that have exact value. When you are dividing it to reach a point and stop exactly, you won't get any remainder. Sometimes when you do it, let's say up to 4 times, if that division is even up to 4 decimal digit, maybe at that point it will stop. It won't give you any remainder again. Like this one stopped after we obtained our second decimal digit. So we'll call this type of decimals terminating decimals. Take note of that. We are still going to learn that as we move on in our classes, alright? Now let us move on to solution to question number 2. We have to evaluate 27.45 divided by 4. And we are asked to give our answer in 3 decimal places, 3 dp. In question number 1, we were not told the decimal places to give our answer because whomever brought this question, well, I asked the question. It's because I know that the decimal you're going to get there is a terminating decimal. It's going to end after doing just few divisions. Are you following, right? Okay, now we're asked to get this one in 3 dp. 27.45 divided by 4. We got 27.45 divided by 4. I've told you why I like spacing the digits if I'm about to start my division. Why I like spacing the numerator digit. So that I can see space to fix my remainder, to attach my remainder when necessary. So we got 2 divided by 4. Small number divided by bigger number is always 0 remainder, that smaller number. So remainder 2. Attach that 2 to that 7. You get 27. I want to believe that you know now that this 2, remainder 2 we got, is not the last remainder. Because we still have other digits in the numerator we've not divided. So we attach it in front of this 7 and we are going to get 27. So divide this 27 by 4. You know we are operating with 4 times table now because the denominator here is 4. Now, 27 divided by 4 is going to be 6 whole times, but not exactly. We are still going to get remainder 3 because 6 times 4 will give us 24. Alright? So the remainder will be 3. You should know how to get the remainder by now. Just to remind you anyway, as my friends, I divided 27 by 4 and it was 6 whole times. How do I get the remainder? The remainder is what I divided, which is 27, minus, open bracket, the whole number of times I got, which is 6, times the denominator I'm using to divide, which is 4. So you have 27 minus, open bracket, 6 times 4. And of course, 6 times 4 is 24. 27 minus 24 gives us remainder 3. That remainder 3 is not our last remainder, so you attach it to the next digit. Since there are still other digits in the numerator, we have not divided. I have attached the 3 to this 4. I now have 34 there. I am going to divide the 34 by 4. So let's go. 34 divided by 4. Again, from 4 times table, you notice that 34 can be divided by 4 8 times. But that 8 times is not exactly. Please take note, there is a decimal point. So let me indicate it. I have my decimal point. Look at. I'm done dividing this 27. After that, crossing to this 4. The decimal digit part, you have a decimal point. So I indicated it. I like indicating it always before I move on to the decimal digit part. Alright? Very important so that you don't forget. If you don't indicate it as you are carrying out your division normally, when you want to write your answer, you may forget that this is a decimal number. And you may not put that decimal, which may make you to fail. So remember to put it please as you're about to cross to the decimal digit part. We move. 34 divided by 4, we said it is 8 whole times. But not exactly, there will be remainder. And the remainder will be 2. Is that okay? That remainder 2 is not our last remainder because we still have another digit, the last, that 5 there, which we have not divided. So that remainder 2 will be attached there, giving us 25. And if you divide 25 by 4, you are going to get it to be 6 whole times remainder 1. 6 whole times remainder 1. That remainder 1 is now our last remainder because we have divided all the digits in the numerator. 2745 have been divided, right? And so we are going to put remainder 1, our last remainder. What do you do with this last remainder? You know already that you have your decimal point here. So coming to the last remainder, simply attach your 0 and divide it by the denominator 4. Is that okay? And that's going to give us 10 divided by 4. Let's divide and see. 10 divided by 4 will give us 2 whole times. Again, there will be remainder, and that remainder will be 2. So let me write it remainder 2. This 2 whole times is part of our decimal digits. I hope you know that, right? It's part of our decimal place. Already from the calculation here, I have 06.86. You know already 06 is the same as 6. So this is 6.86. 2 decimal digits now, is that not so? Now the third decimal is this 2 we just got. Now, I've gotten 3 decimal digits, 862. I should have stopped here, but no, I'm going to proceed. Remember, we have to get our answer in 3 DP, 3 decimal places. So we need to get 4 decimal digits. Then check if the 4th one can be rounded up or rounded down to the 3rd decimal digit. And so for that reason, I will attach 0 to this remainder and of course divide it again by 4. So I'm going to do 20 divided by 4. And 20 divided by 4 is 5 whole times exactly. Permit me to write the 5 here, please. 5 whole times exactly. There will be no remainder. There will be no remainder. So you see the 4th digit, 4th decimal digit is 5, which of course is up to rounding up. We are going to round up from this 5 to this 2 to make this 2 3. Okay, let's complete please. 27.45 divided by 4 is equal to 6.8625. Now, 3 decimal places, that is where I'm to get my answer. So I'm meant to pick 862. But you notice that this 5, the 4th decimal digit, can be rounded up to this 2. So let me put plus 1. This plus 1. Alright? If you add 1 to this 2, therefore our final answer, 27.45 divided by 4 is equal to 6.863. And that is our answer. 6.863. If you want to put 0 here, you know you've rounded up this 5. So this 5 and any other thing on its right hand side will become 0. You know that. I've taught you all of this under rounding off. So you can refresh your memory by going back to them. So if I like, I can put 0 here. But this 0 is the last 0, which even appears after this decimal point. So writing this 0 here is of no use. Is that okay? I can just leave my answer like this. Good. 27.45 divided by 4 is equal to 6.863. So you see how simple we handled it. There's nothing there, okay? Just your excellent knowledge of multiplication so as to help you carry out the division is what you need. Then know how to get a remainder and you're good together. Let us pick question number 3 and 4 to conclude this part of division. We are going to conclude this part of division. Alright, that is division of decimal numbers by whole numbers. With these 2 questions we have on the board, because this is question number 3 and 4. In question 3, we are to solve 5.25 divided by 25. And then question 4, we are to solve 0.2 divided by 10. What's going to be our answer? Solution to question number 3. Please, I am going to be fast in solving this question. Is that okay? Just follow along. I have to believe that whatever I draw on the board here, you already have the idea based on all the things you've learned from our previous questions and classes. So we have 5.25. We are dividing this by 25. And so we go. We need 25 times table here, alright? Please take note that this division I am teaching you here as basic arithmetics. It's not really the idea of reduction of fraction. Of course, this is a fraction, you know that, because it has numerator and denominator. But my aim, my goal, what I really want you to know is how to carry out division. We are still going to learn reduction of fraction when I teach you fraction. Of course, that's going to be at the end of basic arithmetics when I am done teaching you word problems leading to division. I'm saying this because for this question, one could have thought of, okay, reduce these numbers you have using 5 first. Divide top and bottom, that's numerator and denominator by 5. But that's not what I really want you to know yet, okay? We are still going to meet that. For this, I want us to learn direct division, how to use the denominator and divide the numerator directly. So we go, as usual. Now we start digit by digit. 5 divided by 25. Smaller number divided by bigger number, so this is going to be 0, remainder 5. Attach the 5 to this decimal digit. Now as you are crossing to the decimal digit, you put your decimal point. We have 52 to be divided by 25 now. So 52 divided by 25. You know, we are working with 25 times table. And of course, if you start working with 25 times table, we are dividing 52 by 25. You notice that 25 times 2 will give you 50. If you do 25 times 3, you get 75. And then 52 that we are dividing is between 50 and 75 in 25 times table. So you go for the smaller one, which is 50. It simply means that 52 divided by 25 will give us 2 times, remainder 2. Again, attach the 2 to the last digit 5 there, and that gives us 25. And we're going to do 25 divided by this 25. Of course, I've told you already, a number divided by itself is always equal to 1. I am going to ask you a question here. Now, when we did our last division, 25 divided by 25, we got 1. That 1 is the exact number of times. There is no remainder. There is no remainder. Therefore, what do? You have to divide the denominator by itself. 25 divided by 25 is going to give us 1. 5.25 divided by 25, our answer is 0.21 here. I can conclude 5.25 divided by 25 equal to 0.21. Let's move on straight to solution to number 4. In question number 4, we have 0.2 divided by 10. 0.2 divided by 10. Okay, so we move on as usual. We start with this 0 divided by 10. I've told you from past classes that 0 divided by any other number will give you 0. So that's going to be 0, okay? Of course, smaller number divided by bigger number will always be 0 remainder, that smaller number. So from here, 0 divided by 10 gives us 0. The remainder will still be 0. Attach it to this 2. If you attach it, you get 0.2. Of course, you know 0.2 is still the same as what? 2, exactly. And so what we have there is actually 2 to be divided by 10. Is that okay? 0.2 divided by 10 is the same as 2 divided by 10. Again, a smaller number divided by a bigger number. Is it possible? Of course, the answer is going to be 0 remainder, that smaller number. Before I cross over to the decimal part, let me put my decimal point here before I move on to the decimal digit. So 2 divided by 10, or 0.2 divided by 10 would give you 0 remainder 2. Now that 2 is your last remainder. There is nothing to attach it to here again. We've divided at 0.2. So the remainder, which is 2, I'm going to write it here. And of course, you know, once you get your last remainder, what do? That is correct. You attach 0 to that last remainder. And so this is 20. We are going to divide it by 10. Alright? 20 divided by 10 will give us 2 exactly. There will be no remainder. Let me underline this. 2 exactly. There will be no remainder. For that reason, I will divide this 10 by itself to get 1. Of course, 2 divided by 1 is that same 2. And I think we are done with the division. Therefore, we have that 0.2 divided by 10. Our answer is going to be, let's pick it and see. Coming over here, we have 0.0, and then this last decimal digit 2. And this, of course, is our answer. I hope you enjoyed this division, right? Now you can agree with me that as much as 95 to 98% knowledge you need about division, you already have it. In the next class, I'll be taking you into part 4 or section 4 of this division, where I'm going to teach you, and of course you will learn, how to divide a decimal number by another decimal number. Get prepared for that class, okay? How to divide a decimal number by another decimal number. I'm going to give you a work to do in preparation for that class. You need the knowledge of standard values of place values of whole numbers. Standard value of place values of whole numbers. Therefore, I'm using this opportunity to inform you that before our next class, please make sure you rewatch the video lesson and study the note on standard value of place value of whole numbers. You remember, when talking about place values of whole numbers, you have something like units, okay, tens, hundreds, thousand, 10,000. They have values. I've taught you that. They have values. So we need that knowledge when dealing with dividing decimal numbers by another decimal number. Please prepare for that class by watching that video lesson. Rewatch it. It's going to help you to enjoy the class when I teach you how to divide decimal numbers by another decimal number. Alright, I hope to see you in our next class. Please make sure you rewatch this particular video lesson, division of decimal numbers by whole numbers. Copy your notes just below this video lesson, and of course, get prepared for our next class.